Wolfie, or the lycanthropiosis of meals rhymes with feels, Joel. 1. Remembering. In his father's cupboard, Milosh found a coloured cardboard circle. It had a picture of the world on it. But when Milosh took hold of it with keen child's fingers, he found that it was actually two circles, a smaller one fixed to a slightly larger one by means of a central plastic rivet. You could turn the one so that it rotated evenly upon the other, like cardboard wheels. Milosh, whom everyone called Meals for short, which actually rhymed with wheels, became fascinated by the rotating cardboard discs. He discovered that the smaller circle had little rectangular windows in a downward row that let you glimpse words on the larger circle underneath. The bottom circle must be full of writing which I can't see, thought Meals to himself, except what it wants me to see in the rectangular windows. In the upper window, he rotated the wheels slowly until he found the word Brazil. He'd heard of Brazil. They'd won the World Cup at football that very year. Gazing down each of the windows towards the centre of the disc, he learned that Brazil's language was Portuguese. Odd, he thought, because Portugal was in Europe, surely. The capital city was Brasilia. Their currency was the real, and their population was about 180 million people. Their chief exports were soya beans, iron ore, beet sugar, and meat. Meals wanted clarification from his dad on the Portuguese thing, but then, of course, his father would know he'd been prying in his private cupboard. When Meals moved the dial to his right, he found the words Chile, Denmark, and England. He liked England. He lived there, in a little town called Bosworth Newcombe. And sure enough, the capital was London, the language was English, and the currency pounds and pence, not forgetting the shillings. This curious double disc had many colours. It was flat and greeting card slim, but it told you all about the world. It was called the Dial of World Discovery, and when his parents were out, Meals knew exactly where to find it. A few days later, a Russian, Yuri Gagarin, became known as the first man in space. Meals and his parents sat watching the television, looking at grainy images of him landing back to Earth by parachute, having ejected himself from the spacecraft Vostok 1. "What will America do now?" said Mills's father. "It looks as if Russia has won the race." "Did you know also," ventured the young Meals, "that Russia occupies 1/10 of the land on the planet and traverses 11 time zones across 2 continents? Its currency is the ruble, its capital is Moscow, and its river, the Volga, is the longest in Europe?" Convinced that their child was an indisputable genius, Mr. and Mrs. Joel were dumbfounded when his proven intellectual capacity for retention of facts was significantly unmatched by his work at school. At maths he was slow, at English he was lazy, and at history he was indifferent. And he was always looking out of the window. Over the months, even his interest in global geography seemed to wane too. Abyssinia had become Ethiopia, Ceylon had become Sri Lanka, Tanganyika and Zanzibar had become Tanzania, and the information on his father's dial of discovery had become partially obsolete. So Meals never played with it again. As Meals progressed through junior school, he developed a keen interest in other people. At home, as far as the psychology of human beings was concerned, he only had his English mother and his Polish father to go on. Being an only child was a fairly solipsistic affair. Most other people Miles liked, and some he didn't, but his fascination developed into a habit which we might now call people-watching. Miles's parents would caution against it. "Miles," his mother would say, "stop staring at that man. You mustn't stare." When he asked his mother what staring was, it was explained to him that it was the act of looking at people for too long. When people spoke to you at school, looking at them was called paying attention. Looking at people when they weren't talking to you, or not even looking at you, or not even knowing that you were there, was called staring. Miles accepted this, but the explanation didn't help to cure him of it, even though his father said it was considered rude. Miles was just fascinated by other people. He liked them, mostly. And he loved football, and England were the world champions now. His own playing ability as a schoolboy was no more than average, possibly less, but his facility for memorizing the names of each player in almost all the First Division clubs was breathtaking. He knew the names of the grounds each team played at, and nearly all the team's sporting colours. Miles often watched the news on TV with his parents. Some things interested him, some not, and so he'd watch until he got bored. But there was a male newscaster who appeared regularly and who had the most extraordinary voice Miles had ever heard. It was a deep voice, deep and resonant, and you could hear every word, vowel and syllable that the man pronounced. He sounded like a king, or at least a terribly important man, a man who wouldn't suffer fools gladly. He drawled his vowels at the ends of sentences and made them sound like richly smooth chocolate. At the end of the programme, Miles echoed to his parents, "And Mr. Selwyn Lloyd expressed today his profound gratitude at having been relieved of the cabinet post of Foreign Secretary." His parents stared at him with stunned disbelief, and nothing more was said on the matter.